Welcome to today's webinar, a look at TotalCAE MultiHPC. If you have any questions during this webinar, just put them in the chat. They'll be emailed to us at the conclusion of the webinar and we'll get back to you. Today's agenda is we're going to talk a few slides on about TotalCAE if you're not familiar with who we are. And then we're going to talk about why clients have multiple clusters, cloud and hybrid, and some of the challenges that you encounter when trying to orchestrate and operate multiple HPC systems in cloud together. And then a bit about TotalCAE's multi-HPC solution that solves these challenges, and then a quick demo. So if you're not familiar with TotalCAE, we basically are a managed HPC provider. We provide software that we run on turnkey HPC clusters that we run in clients' data centers, as well as in their own cloud subscriptions on the major cloud providers. And we have a simple-to-use interface that lets you run hundreds of different kinds of applications, commercial codes, homegrown codes in just a few clicks. We won many awards for our hybrid scenarios on cloud and on-prem over the years. And really, our whole goal is to make high-performance computing accessible to everyone and easy to access in just a few steps. And so we have many customers that have hybrid, multiple clusters, multiple clouds, and that led us to build our tools to solve some of these challenges that we're going to talk about today in this webinar. So what is multi-HPC? Well, we have many clients that have maybe one an on-prem cluster, maybe in different geographies in the US. Maybe they have one overseas in India, and they may have a cloud. And all of these islands of compute are sometimes separately managed. Maybe they have different application versions. They're out there in the enterprise, but they're not connected together. So you end up having the case where, maybe an engineer needs more resources, but it's nearly impossible for them to leverage all these different clusters for various reasons we'll see shortly. And so what TotalCAE does is help bring these disparate islands together and treat them as one kind of giant pool of resources. So we'll see that in a second. And the challenges that you have when you try to start getting 1, 2, 3 clusters and then, cloud systems on top of it is that often you end up facing a challenge with data portability. So in the computer-aided engineering realm, a lot of times many applications have include files. Those include files have hard-coded network paths, and those network paths aren't accessible over in other regions of the country or the globe or in the cloud. They may attempt to have some kind of global file system, but those have kind of consistency problems of what's the latest view. And so ultimately the user chooses to stay where they are at on the cluster that they are local, because it's just too much of a pain to gather up all their includes and user subroutines and everything else they need and migrate it somewhere else. The other problem is just knowing about the other things in the enterprise. It's kind of hard to know about the different clusters. And if you did know, how do you get the data there? What are the versions? It's just easier to stick where you are, and that ends up stranding, the compute and, maybe making inefficient use of your global resource pool. And then with cloud and or remote colo data centers or just faraway data centers, sometimes the download bottlenecks aren't just worth it. I'm going to have to spend 20 minutes uploading my model, remember to come back when it's done, push the button to submit it. Later it'll be finished. I got to take another half hour to download it. Typically you may use remote viz or visual VDI type solutions to avoid this, but often just that orchestration is kind of a hassle, and you have to do a lot of people just don't want to have to deal with that. So that include file thing I mentioned is a real serious problem, especially some applications where you have parts from different teams. You may not even know where all the includes are. You're just including some other teams. Maybe it's an automotive car and someone did the seat and someone's doing another part of the vehicle and you have the dummies. So where's all this stuff located at? It's just overwhelming. So what TotalCAE does is we have a tool that we'll show a little bit later that lets you unshackle from this this problem, and we take care of this and make all of these include files. We find them, we gather them in, we're going to make them portable for you. The resource discovery, this is kind of a flow chart we put together of what a person would do if they wanted to go find resources in enterprise. Identify what cluster currently has the most free resources, has the version of the software that I want, it's close to me, so I can get fast data transfer, and then figure out like how do I get my data there and back. Is there VDI? Do I have to SCP it? What am I doing to get my data there? All of this is a barrier to people adopting and using multiple HPC across the enterprise. And so you'll see how we have this automatic resource discovery and kind of automate this entire workflow with one click. Now, downloading and uploading is a real problem. On CA space, we generate hundreds of gigs. It may seem impractical to move that across a WAN. But if the time was hidden from you, like you could push the button, something would move it on its for you, run the job, and then bring it all back for you, you wouldn't really see or notice the download, and that's kind of what TotalCAE has done. While you can't completely eliminate data transfer, you can try to hide it, or at least not make it so that the user feels the pain of how long it's taking to move files back and forth. They just push the button and the job shows up. As long as they get it back in a reasonable turnaround time, it was worth it if they were going to just stay queued on their local cluster or whatever. So with TotalCAE MultiHPC, it's our normal TotalCAE platform if you're an existing TotalCAE customer. It's just a switch inside of our system that enables it to then talk to all of the different clusters and other cloud solutions that you have in your environment, and then automatically enables the ability to see all of the other clusters and submit to all the different systems and orchestrate all the data. So it's an on and off button inside of our system and quite simple to set up. So once TotalCAE, which was already existing on all these different environments, is flipped on in multi-HPC, now the user can see from a single portal all their different jobs across the enterprise. They can cancel them, and we'll show that a little bit later in the demo. But now if I submit, I could say submit, automatically find me the best cluster to run this job that is the freest capacity, that's either the closest to me or is my highest, my preferred cluster, and then make sure they have the version of the software and that there's enough free capacity. So we'll take up all of your include files. We're going to gather them up. We're going to remove all the hard-coded network paths, rewrite it. Then the data will be transferred from the system to the remote cluster that's been chosen by the automatic algorithm. And then it will run the job, and then the data will be moved back. And then you're going to get an email when the data is back on your source home, and then you can just go ahead and load it. And that entire time, you didn't really do anything. All you did is say, all I want to do is run my job, this version of the app and this many cores, go find me the cluster. You go ahead and go move the data. Don't bother me with all the details. So that's what TotalCAE multi-cluster basically accomplishes. And we'll see that a little bit later in the demo. One of the key pieces is that data portability. So TotalCAE is a tool. It's part of our T-Submit client. It's called the Flattener. And basically for applications like Dyna, Nastran, Abacus, OptiStruct, we're able to go through, understand the application format, find all your includes, rewrite them so that they're no longer, hard-coded paths that don't exist in other systems, and then make them all relative and combine those up so we can move them to the other system. So it can go, it handles nesting and recursion and includes with includes, and widely utilized to basically break those data shackles that we talked about earlier. The user doesn't have to do anything other than just give a flatten option, or they can set it up so that whenever these applications are moved, you can do flattening. So it's user controllable. And if you don't want to use it, you certainly don't have to. And if all your include files are just in your current directory, all your files are there, you don't need to use the flattener. But in real world scenarios, we see that people do make heavy use of includes and different file structures that are hard coded. And so this was going to help make that data portable for you, breaking down one of the major barriers to using multiple HPCs. The other thing is that the data the manual orchestration of where is versions of the software, how do I get my data there? So this is kind of an example of our command line portal called T-Submit. I just can say, find me, I have this Abacus input deck, find me a version of Abacus 2025 in the enterprise that has 32 cores available right now, and just take care of all the data movement. So I type this command, and we'll show this demo in a later. Suddenly, I will take your IMP file. We're going to find all your includes, gather them up, look around the enterprise for you, find the freest and most preferred cluster with 32 cores free, and that has Abacus 2025 available, and then move your data over there and run it. Then it'll all come back. And that's, all of that is hidden behind a simple command. Now, you don't have to use the automatic resource discovery orchestration. You can target an individual system. Maybe like cluster A. I like that cluster. I want to go there for a specific reason, and I want maybe to target a specific queue or partition. You can. It's all under your control. So you're not required to use the automatic orchestration. You can still have fine-grained control, target clouds, other on-prem clusters, all from one client, and you don't have to log into different systems just to submit the job, monitor it, download data, and so on. And finally, that data movement pane, because we have automatic data movers that move data in and out of the systems, you're not ever having to wait for the upload and download. It's going to move the data. When the data is moved, it'll run the job, and when the job is done, it's going to move it back. You never have to go click upload or download. And even though that time might be there, it's still hidden. And we do have other optimizations. We do things like differential copy back and things where we are trying to minimize data that's being copied to and from over the WAN, compression, other types of things to help optimize that, speed up the best that we can, at least. So what does it look like? Well, if you're used to seeing the normal TotalCAE portal, once you have multi-HPC flipped on, you're just going to see in our job list a new column called the cluster, where you're going to see all your available clusters that are predefined in multi-HPC, and you'll be able to monitor them, cancel them, look at the output of those jobs, all from one single portal. You can still go to individual portals of different clusters if you chose to, but you could also just stay on any portal that's multi-HPC enabled and view all of the other systems, filter, and do all the normal actions that you're used to. So it isn't radically different. It's just one extra column, and bingo, you have a global view of all your HPC resources. Same thing on our mobile app. You can see all the clusters on mobile. You could search through it. You can monitor the jobs, and do quick job management if you are using our mobile app in the same way. It is multi-HPC enabled. So in summary, TotalHPC, multi-HPC makes it super easy to submit to multiple clusters in cloud. You don't have to have the data, trapped on any particular cluster, because we're going to make it portable and move it for you. You don't need to worry about how do I find the clusters, because we're going to have those defined in your environment for you of all your cluster environments, and you're going to be able to automatically just have it select for you the one with the most capacity, the one that has the version of the software you need and can run right away, or you can target them individually if you want. Really very popular with hybrid workflows. And we have a Windows and Linux client that you can install even if you don't have TotalCAE on-prem. We have many customers that have long-standing HPC on-prem that we're not managing, but we're helping out with the cloud pieces for them. And they're able to install our client and enable an easy-to-use hybrid workflow so that they can at least see all their cloud resources and easily submit from on-prem filers that might have all their data structures. So we've been doing a lot with hybrid enablement. But if you have probably the biggest customer we has 8 clusters and cloud systems, and we're able to enable them to globally orchestrate all of those and take advantage, especially when some people are sleeping and their clusters tends to be idle. Teams that are in a different time zone suddenly can be able to leverage and take advantage of the hardware there. This is if you have a global licensing pool, that makes it very easy. If you have regional licenses for some of these apps, we can still handle that. It's a little more complicated, but just realize, if you have a large environment with many different clusters, TotalCAE is going to let you get the most bang for your buck out of all your existing resources that you have today. So with that, I think we're going to go into just a quick demo just so you can see it outside of a screenshot. So we're going to transition to that. If you have any questions at the end of the demo that's going to happen here in a second, just go ahead and email info@totalcae.com if you'd like to see like a demo or have us talk about your environment and how we might be able to vision cast and how we could take it to your HPC simulation to the next level or make it easier to use for your engineers. When you first log into the TotalCAE portal, it looks just like it normally does in terms of job submission, but if you go to the list jobs page, you're going to see in a multi-HPC enabled solution, you're going to have this cluster tab, and you're going to be able to filter amongst the different clusters, and you'll be able to take actions on those. So I could right click on this job that's booting up and do different kinds of options and submit on the remote cluster and see the similar kinds of options depending on the type of job. So interacting with the single pane of glass of all your HPC jobs across the enterprise, quite easy, nothing new to learn. It just will show you all the various clusters and cluster jobs and let you sort them, filter them, and action on them all from one place. Now, if you wanted to do what we showed in the demo and submit a job to the enterprise with this version, with this other application called LSDyna, I could use the tsubmit client or as a command line version of the portal and say, hey, take this model and find me 96 cores that have this version. So I'm going to just go ahead and hit enter. And in this case, I just have a couple profiles in my environment. So it's going to look through, start checking all the different environments, see if they have enough resources, see who has the freest resources. And now it's found a cluster that is most preferred and satisfies my minimum requirements and has the version. So it's going to start preparing to move the data. So that's it. It actually now has started a data movement job, and it's starting to stream that data to that remote system. Once it's done, it's going to run the job, and then it'll bring all the data back into this directory that I'm in here now. So if I wanted to see the list of profiles that I have access to, those can be shown with tsubmit profile show. If I want to be able to edit those, I can do tsubmit profile edit. And if you wanted to kind of see the gamut of things that can be configured, I'll just show that here. Everything that a profile is an encapsulation of all the information on how to get data to and from a cluster, the kind of things that you may want to do. Do I need to flatten it or not? How do I want to copy data? All these things can usually configured by TotalCAE or your system administrator and bundled up into that profile. So you don't need to like ever edit any of these things, but it's quite full featured and gives you the ability to fine grain and control all of that. So the user doesn't really have to know all of these options. They just have to say, I want to go to that cluster, and it's going to automatically take care of all those details that are encapsulated in that profile. Now, profiles are generally, like I said, staged by the system administrator, but if you wanted to get the profiles yourself, you can download them, for example, into our Windows client or other systems and import them. It's quite easy to take these profiles and get them onto your client. So if you have, maybe you don't have TotalCAE on-prem and you're just wanting to import into our client that you might have installed on your on-prem system, you just can go here, download it, import it into our client. Now we have a whole course on just using multi-HPC and TotalCAE. So if you're interested in that, you could just go over to our courses.totalcae.com. And now here I'm on multi-HPC. I can see that job is already running over on the AWS cluster that it's staged to. And I can, didn't really have to do anything. It was quite easy to do. It all took care of it for me. So that is the beauty of multi-HPC. You don't have to be an IT expert. You don't have to know anything about, how to get data to and from the cluster. I didn't have to wait for the upload download, didn't have to find where my includes were. I didn't even have to figure out if that cluster had the version of the software that I needed or not. All that's all automated. Now there's a lot of sophisticated options to it. beyond what we were going to show in just simple demo of just how easy it is to use. So if you want to see the full power of the solution, simply contact us at info@totalcae.com. We're welcome to do a deep dive into profiles, auto submission, anything you're interested in to see how it could fit into your environment. So thanks for joining. We look forward to having you on our next webinar.